Hi everyone, my name is Chris Martin. Welcome to Keto with me. Today I've got a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while. So the topic is starting keto strategies. So I know there's going to be a lot of opinion out there about like this is how you should start keto. You know, you'll hear people who are purists, they'll be like, you got to do it this way and you got to stay under this and this is going to, you know, and then you just pick little tidbits up here and there. But the point is that I've got at least 2 reference points because I started keto, you know, like 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago. And, you know, then, you know, was successful with keto for, you know, a good while. And then, you know, after I fell off and then, you know, decided to come back on, at least, you know, for about 8.5 weeks ago, I started it again. So, you know, I've got 2 reference points and honestly, I did it mostly completely different. There'll be some similarities, but the one thing is that each way got me to keto and living in the keto lifestyle. One was just more of a direct path and the other one was just kind of like me wandering around. So, but before we do that, please take time to like and subscribe so you can keto with me. Let's talk about the first way. It just kind of makes sense to talk chronological about it. You know, 4 or 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago, it was a buddy of mine who you would never look at and think needed to do keto or wanted to do keto, but you know, he was like, you know, hey, Chris, I know you're trying to lose some weight. You should look into keto. And all I knew at that time was like it was a low carb thing. So, and then, you know, he pointed me to some videos. I went out and checked out the videos and I thought, oh, you know, I can do this, you know. The point of that really is that when I jumped into it, I just really didn't plan anything. I just kind of was like, I'm going to start it like, I forget, I started on like, I think close to Halloween or something of like 18 or I think it was 2018. And, you know, and I just kind of flailed around for a while. And, you know, back then, you know, I don't remember if there was any notion of like the types of styles of keto, like clean versus dirty and, you know, things like that. And if there were, it took me a while to find them because, you know, I just was kind of like, hey, I'm going for the under 20 carb thing, you know, because that's what people are telling me to do. So, I do remember, like, because I'd done this on Atkins, that, you know, you could test things with like ketone strips. So that was something that I was doing at that point. But the point of the matter was that it was, you know, pretty much very undisciplined and just kind of me flailing around, just finding things and just, you know, trying things and so forth. Now, you know, if you're watching my results series, you know, either my diary or my results coming out, you know, I'm at like, you know, week 8 now. And I'm getting close to crossing 200. And what I remember about the first time, you know, doing keto is that it took me like several months. It was almost near a year, I feel like, to get under 200, which was, you know, you would think wouldn't be that. And I was close to the same starting weight too. So it was a very, you know, like, it just took forever. Now I'm looking at how, I don't want to get into how I do it now. Let me finish the discussion on this. So the last time I ended up, you know, doing things like watching Dr. Boz videos, Dr. Berry videos, and all these other people. And then, you know, but I remember doing things, you know, a little more wishy-washy and not as disciplined. I didn't kind of pick things, you know, ahead of time that I probably should have. For example, you know, I was finding recipes for like chocolate fat bombs, and I was, you know, I didn't care if I ate sugar substitutes. And, you know, I don't remember which way I went with total versus net carbs, but I'm thinking it was net carbs. And I mean, things just were, you know, I was just kind of flailing around. And I did fasting back then. I was on the 1 meal a day, and I think I did 2 48-hour fasts at one point. But what I remember most about my fasting in the past was that, you know, I would like eat. You know, like, I mean, I would like nothing to eat until like 5, but then I'd gorge and you know, I just let myself do it too. And I would try to stay under 20 carbs, but I would sometimes bounce up into the 30 and 40 range. So, and things were successful. I was, you know, I was sleeping good. I was lots of energy, and you know, my numbers weren't too bad. My glucose and stuff, I found some numbers from like a couple years ago or 5 years ago. Looking back at those numbers, I'm kind of scared to death that I didn't try harder because, you know, they were in the high 1-teens, and, you know, even though I got them to come down, they're nothing like this time. So everything was good until it wasn't, and then I fell off the wagon. But again, I had keto success for at least 2.5, 3 years the last time. So it got me there. It just got me there, you know, maybe not a direct path. Let's talk about, you know, this time starting, you know, keto. So when I went to start keto this last time, you know, I had actually planned it probably 5, 6 months, sorry, maybe not that far, 4 or 5 months in advance, because I remember it being August of last year, and I was like, you know, I really miss this lifestyle and so forth. So when I went into it, you know, I wanted goals. I wanted to track things. I wanted to be more on point. I mean, I knew everything. I mean, if you asked any person who's heavy, you know, how to lose weight, they almost always know how to do it, right? It's just doing it. It's the hard part. So this time I wanted to make sure I set myself up for success. So I went back and watched a lot of the same videos I watched in the past. And then I decided that, hey, you know, I want to do a YouTube series along with this too. And the reason I wanted to do that is because the success last time had a lot of people asking me, Chris, how do you do keto? And I would always just kind of inundate them with information. And then I realized that they thought it was too hard or something, so then they would end up just not doing it. So I figured if I put it in a diary series and chronologically just put it there and showed everything, that it would give other people, you know, like at least some idea of how to do it. Doesn't mean you have to follow it exactly like I did. And I also wanted, when I did it, for my goals to be very flexible. So if you go back and look at my week 1, my week 2, my week 3, you'll see that all I cared about mostly in those first 3 weeks were just trying to get my carbs down so I could break the sugar addiction. I didn't necessarily care about macros and like high fat and, you know, how much I ate, you know. I still really don't care about that too much because it kind of naturally fixed itself with, you know, fasting and breaking that sugar addiction. But my point is I gave myself very flexible, you know, easy to, you know, kind of ease into it type of goals. But, you know, I was going to track everything. I was going to, you know, just be, you know, disciplined in some respect. And once I got past a certain point, it was just like super easy to do. I mean, I can go now without, you know, eating all day. I don't have to gorge myself. I don't feel like I want sugars or anything like that. So, you know, I feel like the blueprint that I've done for myself is a lot easier this time. So I also moved into certain things like fasting and, you know, high fat and all that other stuff when I felt that it was right. You know, I didn't do it just because I heard some, you know, new video and said, you got to do this right now. You know, it was more like, you know, like Dr. Boz always says, you know, when you have that accidental fast or two, then you kind of know you're ready for some level of fasting. That's exactly what I did. I didn't like force it. And then, you know, same way with the fat. I didn't try to get the fat in all at once. I let it, you know, creep in until I could get better control of it. And also your body sometimes just can't process it that quick. So it's good that you give yourself a little bit of adjustment period or you're going to be paying for it. So one thing that I made sure that I did better this time too is that, you know, I wanted to, you know, follow my mentors and be very diligent about, you know, like saying I'm going to watch your videos and watch your videos. That's why I added the video recommendation to the diary series. So, you know, it would make me go and say, okay, this is who I looked at to get this information. You know, here's my interpretation of it and stuff like that. So learning to me is very critical. I tried to keep the videos short. There's a couple of them that are long, but the vast majority of them you can watch in, you know, 8 to 15 minutes, you know, as far as like the people who I recommend. One thing to note, and I love saying this, is that I still have never counted a single calorie. So it's something that I made the mistake of in the very first time, because when I wasn't starting to get results in that first journey, I started like, well, it's got to be the calories now. So I started trying to target that, and that just kind of threw me all off. So it's no mistake that my first video recommendation of my diary series is by Dr. Ken Berry. It is Counting Calories is Stupid. And it's a really good video because if you watch it, it makes 100% sense. And then from that point on, you're just like, I could care less about that. I really just focus on carbs and macro percents now. And then staying true to everything else that, you know, you want to try to do, like trying to get closer to clean and stuff like that. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope this video gives you, at least my two different types of strategies. You know, in a nutshell, it's disciplined, undisciplined, you know, tracking, no tracking, you know, wandering around, you know, hey, I know where I'm going, you know, and then being flexible here, where sometimes over here I get a little bit too strict on something, but it would be very reactionary. So Again, please take time to like and subscribe if you'd like to keto with me. If you'd like to leave some comments or questions below, just remember, nobody's perfect. Be a coach, not a critic, and take care.